perfected a plan to make over your energy in just 7 days. Now, the energy plan doesn't have any special products, no special drinks.
No, I mean, it's really about doing something that you can do every day, which is we have to eat, you know, and I don't trust people who don't like to eat. I love to eat, so I wanted to find things that you could do, and the cornerstone of it is food combining. Something I discovered in 1979 from a little book written in 1933.
Okay, so it's an old idea, but a lot of folks don't know about it, and it's very provocative. So let me ask you all a question in the audience here. How many of you have eaten a big meal and then felt exhausted afterwards? Everybody? Or you had an energy crash about an hour after you had lunch. Does that sound familiar? All right, well then, this is an important topic for you because food combining may be one of the solutions. You know, it's been talked about a lot. We don't teach this in medical school, and we don't know much about it for that reason as doctors. But Marilu, you argue you have the system by combining food to give us our energy back. And I think it's, if I'm correct, it's based on the fact that we digest foods in different places in our body.
Yes, fruits digest in the mouth, starches digest in the intestines, and proteins digest in your stomach. So you put those three things together. So, and some meal plans purposely have you miss food combined because they want the food to sit in you a little bit longer and make you feel a little like, oh yeah, I feel, this is how I felt after I ate a big meal. So they purposely have you mix up.
So give us the step-by-steps of how you do this. So what are the foods that are fundamental to understanding food combining?
Okay, well, the standard American diet usually mixes starches and proteins. But I'm saying that if you think of foods in three categories, starches, proteins, and fruits, these things do not combine unless you have a connector.
And fruits never come after.
No. Fruits are so fast that they should be completely separate.
Okay, so what are the connectors? How do you actually allow yourself to have a protein with a starch?
Okay, well, let's say you want to have proteins with a salad or vegetables, that's great, or starches with a salad or vegetables, that's great. But if you add legumes, because you're going to have the starch and the protein, all of a sudden it becomes a lot easier for them to digest together. I mean, people, you know, it's like when you go for sushi, it's like a fish and the rice, make sure you have the edamame. If you have spaghetti and meatballs, make sure you have a bean dish. You know, and if you have to save yourself somehow because you're just like, oh, my stomach is so bad, have some peanuts because they're a legume.
So just to go back to this charter for a second, because I think it's important. So starches and proteins are separate unless you have connectors, which are either legumes, beans, or vegetables.
Yes.
All right, and the fruits are off on the side because they're playing a different league.
Yeah, they're playing. They're so fast. They're like the fast people.
All right, so you made it easier for us to understand it with these paragraphs. I appreciate it. Anytime these circles touch, you're allowed to eat things together.
Yes.
And we'll put this up on Dr.OZ.com, because if you do that, you follow this rule, as you're arguing, you'll get the energy.
You'll get the energy. You know, the hardest thing we do is digest our food. It takes more energy to digest our food than anything. And people are walking, you know, we're stuffing our faces but starving our bodies. And we're slowing every single thing down so we have no energy for anything else. You should feel like you just put in a full tank of gas and you are raring to go after you eat.
All right. So you made some examples for us that really reduce us to practice. So teach us what a breakfast might be.
So usually people have like eggs and toast, but they feel like, oh, a little bit of this. So I always say, add some beans to it. If you put them all together, this would be a much better breakfast than if you didn't have beans.
Okay, lunch.
Okay, lunch. I always have a very big salad for lunch. I love that. Brown rice sometimes, etc. But this is like a great dish because you can do a big arugula salad, and you can also have your mashed potatoes. And there's a wonderful recipe for arugula and mashed potatoes to just kind of, you know, keep you going.
Perfect. And then for a classic dinner?
A lot of times people will have like a stir fry with, let's say, brown rice or some kind of rice and shrimp. But they might feel like, oh, I feel stuffed after that. Throw in peanuts. Peanuts are going to pull it all together. I know it sounds a little...
Like peanuts are a legume. They're a legume.
That's right, they're not a nut.
We got our three main meals, and for snacks...
Yes, I love fruit. Will eat fruit separately from my other foods. It's a great energy boost. Sometimes if you're going to work out, you can start your day with fruit, etc. But I love fruit. I think it's great. And of course, vegetables go anytime. There's not a diet or a food program anywhere that doesn't support fruits and vegetables.
And finally, you argue that we shouldn't drink our beverages, that we actually should eat them.
We should eat our beverages, and water, which is fabulous, should be in between meals. Because if you eat something, your body, your brain, your mouth, all those great digestive juices are working hard to digest your food. If you're washing it all down with water, everything's going to dilute. So sip water before or eat it between meals, but make sure you have wet food with every single meal. That little bit of wet food is like turning on the garbage disposal and adding water. But make sure that it's in the form of food with your meals.
Okay, let me just recap this for
Okay,
everybody real
sure.
quickly, so to make sure I get this right. Right? Because we don't learn this in med school.
Yep.
The first thing is proteins and starches should not be eaten together unless you connect them with either a legume.
With legumes.
Legumes, primarily.
Yep.
You can eat vegetables, whatever you want, but fruits, you shouldn't eat alone. You know, they should be by themselves, separate from everything else. And finally, no water with meals.
Right.
Did I get it
That's
right?
the big one. You got it.
Thank you so much. There are tons of key people now. A lot of you don't realize it, but Marilu, fascinatingly, can teach us something very different than how to combine foods. Because you can teach us about energy, but what you can really teach us about is memory. She's one of the few people in the world who's documented to have a super memory. And when we come back, Marilu has a plan for a total memory makeover. That's